Hello and welcome to Inside Sports, presented by Meritus Health Urgent Care and Total Rehab. I'm Wes Decker. Coming up on the show, the Herald Mail Insiders will figure in prominently. Tim Kelby will be here to set us up for the upcoming state golf championships. Dan Kaufman will answer a battery of volleyball questions. I've got three of the champions from the Frank Kaiser Invitational Cross Country meet from this past Saturday who will join me on set. And Bob Parsalides here to talk football. Week 7's recap comes your way when you come back.
When your family is hurting, you don't have time to wait. Act now. Visit Meritus Urgent Care on Pennsylvania Avenue. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Meritus Urgent Care treats minor conditions like earaches, sore throats, and sprains. Meritus Urgent Care also offers x-rays and sports physicals, and many prescriptions are filled on site. Located off Interstate 81 on Pennsylvania Avenue, visit Meritus Urgent Care. Expert care, close to home.
One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. One, wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier Martial Arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick, you feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm Premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Welcome back to Inside Sports, and time for football now. Bob Parsalides joins me for this, and let me start with the first game of the week. On Thursday, Central Maryland Christian defeated St. James 49-43. There were 13 touchdowns in that game combined. The Saints scored 6. Surprisingly, just 2 of them through the air. 4 of them came courtesy of a rushing attack that carved up the CMCD for 329 of St. James's 528 yards of total offense, spearheaded by John Mechie's 267 yards and 3 TDs that almost single-handedly carried the Saints back from a 35-14 second quarter deficit to the brink of victory. And it would have been a fairy tale ending for that guy whose availability was in question up until game time, if not for a well-timed hit that separated the football from his grasp inside the CMC 1-yard line in the game's final minute, wiping out St. James' hopes of completing the improbable happily ever after comeback. So the Saints slipped to 3-4 despite hanging 43 points on the scoreboard, the most they've scored in a game this season. And now St. James has lost 2 games this year, Bob, where they've scored 34 points or more. That is tough to do. And as Coach Rutt said afterward, a heartbreaking loss as they dropped to 3-4.
Well, that team has been the masters of the fourth quarter and the masters of the second half. Usually they have a big adjustment meeting, we'll call it, at halftime, and they seem to come out a little bit better, and they did, but not enough.
And amazingly, neither team scored in the fourth quarter despite 92 points on the scoreboard. St. James will play Flint Hill coming up on Saturday. They've had no luck against the Huskies lately. The Huskies have won the last 9 in that series. Speaking of not having luck in a series, although it hadn't played Fort Hill in 27 years, South Hagerstown hadn't tasted victory over the Sentinels in its last 5 encounters heading into last Friday's in Cumberland against the 2-time defending 1A state champs. Bob, you saw that game. I was surprised. 47 points on the board by Fort Hill. South Hagerstown puts up 26, but a solid win for Fort Hill at home.
Well, going into that game, I was talking to Coach Toby Peer and a couple of his assistants. There was a kind of a quiet confidence there. They had a feeling that they might have a shot at this one, and it changed really quickly. Fort Hill comes out, and Fort Hill is very polished, very precise, and they were very strong. They beat up south on the front line, and when they got into the secondary, they were quick. And they only punted once. They had 2 turnovers. One, they fumbled a punt that led to South's first touchdown. The second was a fumble when they were going in to score. South just could not get the defense off the field. Now, the bright spot, and maybe in some ways the not so a detriment, was the play of Darian Robinson. He runs for 288 yards. He has 3 touchdowns, one of 77, 80, and 78 yards. But he did all of those touchdowns in 4 plays. He did it on the first play of a drive, the first play of a drive, and the second play of the drive.
So the defense is getting no rest.
No rest and no time to adjust on the sidelines.
Right.
So, I mean, would that make a difference? No. But, I mean, those were great explosive plays. he accounted for about 85% of their offense and you could say probably 70 of that was on those 3 runs. So South really didn't have any answers for Fort Hill. Fort Hill still runs that old wing tee. They came out with some options to try to figure out what would work. And then once they established that they had the power on the front line, it was just straight out coming. It was full back oriented, and they spun everything off of it. The quarterback started getting involved, and they just marched down and took care of South and probably put a serious dent in their chances of making a playoff.
Yeah, South at 4-3 now, really a distant 5th in the 3A West playoff standings, not able to build on the momentum of that comeback victory over Tuscarora the week before.
One more point on that, too, is that South's been a pretty decent passing team this year. They went 2 of 15 and 1 interception. And it was drops and a lot of things that were involved. It wasn't just bad passes. And it just didn't work right.
Yeah, just not a good night for South overall, and Fort Hill very good. Williamsport defeated Frederick 30-22. The Wildcats put up a complete game. They finally put one together with the defense setting the offense up, turning 4 takeaways into 13 points. And Kayvon Carter jump-started Williamsport's most prolific scoring night of the season on special teams with an 84-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And while it was a week where there were any number of worthy candidates, the sophomore running back is the Inside Sports Buffalo Wild Wings Player of the Week on the strength of adding a second-quarter touchdown via the air, and then another one on the ground for the second consecutive game. For the night, Carter had 15 carries, 93 yards, and a touchdown, and 5 receptions, including that touchdown. So congrats to Kayvon Carter, the Buffalo Wild Wings Player of the Week. As for Williamsport, back-to-back W's have the Cats sitting at 3-4. They're 3-1 at home, but 0-3 on the road, and they go to South Hagerstown, a team that is going to be just a little aggravated after that loss to Fort Hill.
Well, Kayvon has 5 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, and in the last 2 games he's got 1 running and 1 catching, and then he throws in the 1 on the return for a good measure. So, and Matt Malfris has done a great job filling in at quarterback. He ran for 101. He threw some nice passes, and he's got them at least functioning to the point where quick starts they're getting out of the gate, and it's starting to work a little bit for them.
He's diversified that offense a little bit and given them the threat of running from that quarterback position. Smithsburg defeated Brunswick 48-13. A Leopards team that came in averaging just 19 points per game scored 23 in the third quarter alone, and the 48 they ended up with was their highest total in a game since October of 2010. So it'll be a battle of 5-2 teams when Smithsburg travels to Havre de Grace on Friday, which is off to the Leopards now off to its best start to a season since 2008, currently 5th in the 1A West playoff point standings, and with room to improve from there. But finally see the Leopard offense get going, albeit against a very challenged Brunswick team. But right now, Smithsburg needs those wins if they want to have any hope of getting into the postseason. Well,
and this was a game where, at least from what I could read, I couldn't tell whether they did any turnovers. It looked like they did this offensively. Cameron Winslow had a nice game, 2 touchdowns in that third quarter. He puts up 108 yards, and then you got Bryce Scott working hard on the 134 with his, right, as at fullback, and I think that sets up the entire offense for them.
Boonesboro shut out North Hagerstown 42-0. The same story as it's been all season for both teams. 5 different Warriors accounted for their 6 touchdowns as Boonesboro increased its season points per game scoring average to 39.4. That was while the defense was decreasing its season points against per game average to 4.6, pitching its 4th shutout of the year and its 3rd in a row, tying that historical mark that you mentioned last week.
And 1962.
Man, oh man.
And they have never done it 4 times in a row.
Yeah, well, with the chance to do it, but it'll be against a very tough Manchester Valley opponent coming up Friday.
And, every week it's somebody different for Boonesboro right now. Owen Glass gets 139 on 10 carries and 2 touchdowns, and he kind of emerges as the go-to guy on the running game, and in a very tight grouping of guys that are usually right around the same amount of carries and the same amount of yards.
So Boonesboro now 7-0. North drops to 0-7. Clear Spring beat Berkeley Springs 34-24. It was the Joe McCoy show, no question of that, as he eclipses the 1,100 yard rushing mark for the season with a huge 325-yard performance that included 3 touchdowns. The Blazers improved to 4-3. They will travel to Oakland to face 1-6 Southern Garrett on Friday. And the Maryland School for the Deaf shut out Hancock 44-0. Just remarkable that the Panthers could get absolutely nothing going. They had
1 first down.
1 lonely first down in the night. More first downs than they had points. Just a rough night for Hancock, who heads to Woodstock, Virginia on Friday for a date with winless Massanutten Military Academy. That is Week 7's football. Bob, as always, thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
I will be back with cross country. 3 winners from the Frank Kaiser Invitational join me in just a moment.
Yeah, how can we help you today? I really need to get back to work.
Whether it's going back to work or getting back on the golf course, Total Rehab Care maximizes every patient's individual potential, offering state-of-the-art rehab, including physical, occupational, and speech therapy, all in one location. Experts who take a personal interest in their patients' progress. Call or visit online for more information. Meritus Health, treating the community well.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with cross country now. Joining me, 3 of the winners from the Frank Kaiser Invitational on Saturday at Boonesboro. Haley Wright, Will Merritt, and Darren Harmon. Welcome to the show, and thanks for being here. Haley, let me start with you. You win the small school girls race, defend your title there at the Frank Kaiser on your home course. It's been an interesting season for you so far. So with 3 straight victories now, how do you feel? Where do you stand at this point?
I'm feeling pretty confident. I got off to a rough start, obviously, but now that I've got a couple races under my belt and being able to win some titles there, really makes me confident for the future races that we have going again to championship meets and everything like that. So,
how is this season different from last year? There weren't a great deal of expectations heaped on you early in the season last year. This year it's a lot different. People expecting the world from you.
Yeah, I mean, this year there's definitely a lot of pressure, especially with the championship meets, state title possibly. It's definitely more pressure and,
What's more nerve-wracking, being on this show or running those races?
A little bit of both, but yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you here, and congratulations on the win on Saturday. Will, it's been quite a ride for you in cross country in a short period of time. I mean, last year you really broke onto the scene with the region championship win. This year now 2 victories, including the small school win at the Frank Kaiser on Saturday. Tell me a little bit about where you are right now, because it seems like you just keep improving.
I just try to go out there every race and have fun with it and do the best I can.
Now that's a simple philosophy, but it seems like that would be hard for a lot of people to implement. How does it go in practice? Do you feel like you're one of the leaders on the team, even though you're a junior?
I feel like I definitely try to work in with a couple other guys leading the team. 2 seniors, Micah Daniel and Jonah Smith. They really helped me push in practice and just try to set a good example for those coming up, freshmen and sophomores.
And the guy you defeated on Saturday, who finished behind you, Nick Tilson from Liberty, the guy who had defeated you at the Bull Run, and you'd been behind him by about 21 seconds, I think, but you defeated him on Saturday. What enabled you to turn the tables?
I think just not letting that defeat just get me down, just try to keep going out there and doing the best I can, like I said.
I like your approach to it because you keep it very simple. There's no question of that. Darren, congratulations on your win on Saturday. 6 of 7 races that you've won this year. And when you were here last year, you talked about the fact that you were coming off a huge win at Counties on your home course. How much better can you be? I know that's a tough question to ask, and you want to be humble about it, but I mean, we just keep seeing you raise the bar, PRs here and there along the way. I mean, what's your thought process right now?
Well, I mean, you always want to run your fastest races towards the end of the season. So this summer it was just really about building the base and just getting prepared for the season. So my first loss, Rohan, I mean, obviously he's a great runner. He totally deserved that win. And, you know, it's just been going great since the beginning of the season, just grinding away.
And you make a great point. You sort of have to pace yourself as the season goes along. What have you learned now as a senior in terms of being able to do that?
I've learned to, it's not so much about time as it is placement. I think last year that's when I discovered that, or finally figured that out, and not really getting down on myself for running a slower time, but rather go for the win, because people like to see you win. They don't like to, I mean, it's nice to obviously run a fast time, but win is always great too.
And you like to win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 17th last year at States, but that's a pretty good foundation for junior season coming into the senior year. And you won at that state course at Hereford, the Bull Run, earlier this year. How does that set you up going forward?
Oh man, I'm excited because at Bull Run, I was also I had the fastest time on the day for all of the runners in 3A. So, you know, I'm just really excited to get to the state meet and really show them what I got and how hard I've been working on these past 4 years, and just to give it a good race, give it a good effort.
And Haley, let me ask you one more thing. Last year, you were all alone at the state meet, the only representative for Boonesboro.
Yeah.
This year, it looks like, by all accounts, you'll have
Yeah.
a team around you this year. How much of a difference will that make?
I think it'll motivate me more. Just having my team there, I know that I'm going out there and I'm going to give it my all, because, you know, you want to do what you can for the team. So I think we're all going to go out there in a great effort and do really well.
Well, best of luck to all of you the rest of the way, and pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll be back right after this. I've got Tim Kelby here to talk about state championship golf in just a moment.
When your family is hurting, you don't have time to wait. Act now. Visit Meritus Urgent Care on Pennsylvania Avenue. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Meritus Urgent Care treats minor conditions like earaches, sore throats, and sprains. Meritus Urgent Care also offers x-rays and sports physicals, and many prescriptions are filled on site. Located off Interstate 81 on Pennsylvania Avenue, visit Meritus Urgent Care. Expert care, close to home.
One, wanna be one. Number one, it's gotta be fun. One, wanna be one. Number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier martial arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick. You feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
Welcome back to the show. I'm joined now by Herald Mail insider Tim Kelby, and must be state tournament time for golf, Tim.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Kids are going to get ready from Washington County to head down to the University of Maryland and get an idea of, you know, what College Park course is going to be like this year. And if it's anything it's like in the past, they've got a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, and some of those have been there before, and some haven't.
Yeah, there's a couple that are going down there. One particularly be making his third trip down there from North High School this year. Be Dylan Klein. You know, these kids do get better over the course of time, even though they may not win a championship. I can remember 2 years ago, Dylan's first trip down to College Park, shot 104. So,
well, there's room to improve
there's
from
been
there.
plenty of room to improve, which he has done.
Over on the in 2A, 1A, Smithsburg, Brett Bale has had one of those seasons where he showed some of those flashes that we expected.
Yeah, this kid's got a ton of potential. Lately, toward the end of the season, he kind of lost some of his scoring ability. But overall, you know, this is a young man that's got the potential to shoot in the low to mid 70s. And his best 9-hole score this year has been 33.
Man,
and that was
blazing.
Yeah. So he was shooting fairly well. But I remember Brett, you know, way back when many years ago, on the driving range at Yingling, and he was like a 6, 7, 8 year old. So he's come a long way.
Yeah, no question of that. His teammate Jordan Tapley has kind of, no pun intended, tapped into some potential this season.
Yeah, and if anybody knows about Jordan, his number one sport is baseball. And all along, baseball has been, I guess you could say, his real priority. And, up until the county tournament, which he won as a medalist at Fountainhead, now he's starting, starting to think this will be his second trip to College Park. And he's got some untapped potential also. He can hit the ball a mile, and if he can get his short game and his putting under control, he might have some potential down. But I know he's wavering now a little bit. It may not be strictly baseball.
Well, never hurts to branch
No,
out.
no, not at all.
Diversify,
Yeah.
as they say. And we shouldn't forget the county champions by any means, Boonesboro.
Well, Boonesboro, this is the first time that they had ever won a county tournament. And, they're going to have some nice representation down at the state tournament. And, one of them, fourth year in a row, Sydney Alexander. What a great young gal she is, smart, and she has come a long way on the golf course.
And how do you put that into perspective? I mean, that's impressive, 4 straight years.
Oh, absolutely. Those are the kind of things that somebody like I think Ashley Greer is kind of gal that did the same thing. So if she can progress like Ashley did, it's the sky's the limit. But I think Sydney's got a little bit more academics in her mind down the road than what she's worried about playing golf right now. But nonetheless, it's a great achievement. And of course, Boonesboro, they've got Jordan Rao, who is a transfer from South Hagerstown. He's going to be in there. He's been a big help to that team. Travis Moats. What helped Boonesboro win the championship was Tyler Olson. He shot an 80, and he's been to the state tournament, but because he didn't get the qualifying number in the district, he's not going to be down at College Park.
What do you expect from states then? I mean, what's the best we can expect?
Well, North Hagerstown goes as a team, and they'll be playing on Monday. They've got, besides Dylan, they've got J.J. Clemmer, who's come along. He's also fashioned a 33 this year. He's had some good scores, but again, the latter part of the season, his scores have gone up a little bit. It's going to be very tough, I think, for North to challenge as a team. You need to really focus on a 320, which is a 4-man average of 80 to have a chance. You never know. If all 4 kids go out there and down the fairway, hit the greens, the GIRs, then things can work out.
Speaking of hitting fairways and greens, Dirk Schultz.
Yeah, this past weekend, Dirk was out at the Players Professional National Championship in Seaside, California, and after it was a tough road for him. He was over par going into the last round, and he got back to even. And after his going into his back nine, he had back-to-back bogeys, and the cut line was at 35 positions to make it. And he had a couple of bogeys, or he had a couple of birdies at 17 and 18. Got him into tie for 28th spot, which qualified him for next year's PGA Seniors Championship. That's on the big tour.
Congratulations
Oh, absolutely.
to Dirk. That's a tremendous
Yeah, it
accomplishment.
really is. It's just so tough competing out there. There's 264 golfers out there.
Boy, yeah, it seems like they're all clamoring for the same prize.
Absolutely.
Obviously. Tim, thank you very
Sure.
much. Appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here.
Good to be here.
I'll be back right after this. Dan Kaufman joins me. We'll talk volleyball in just a moment.
Wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Wanna be one, number one, it's gotta be fun. Punch it, kick it, giving it all. Premier Martial Arts helps take it to the top, y'all. Jab, cross, hook, kick, you feel it when we stick it. Wanna be one, winner, yeah, I won. I'm Premier, number one. Wanna be number one, kids? Have your parents call.
For over 25 years, Tony's Pizzeria has been serving authentic Italian cuisine. Open daily for lunch and dinner. Stop by today and enjoy one of their many house favorites, made fresh from scratch daily, in the newly expanded and remodeled dining area. Serving a full liquor bar, beer, and wine, Tony's 50-person banquet room is perfect for your next celebration. Dine in, take out, or delivery. Come see what's new at Tony's Pizzeria Restaurant and Grill, 10 East Salisbury Street in Williamsport.
Welcome back to Inside Sports, presented by Meritus Health Urgent Care and Total Rehab. I'm joined now by Herald Mail insider Dan Kaufman. We're going to talk volleyball, although Dan doesn't have any idea what I'm going to ask him. I'm just going to fire some questions at him, and it's up to him to come up with the answer.
I asked for it this week.
You did. And here's the very first question. How fair is it, based on the win by Williamsport over Smithsburg and the win earlier in the season over North Hagerstown, to say that the future is now for the Wildcats?
Oh, absolutely. They proved that earlier this year with the win over North, when everybody went, well, I guess that 1 year incubation period is not going to be necessary anymore. Nobody knew that Kiara Lewis was going to come along as a freshman and be this good. Devin Grossbeck. Now, I know Coach Crabtree was really high on Devin Grossbeck coming into the year. She was mentioned prominently in the preview, but again, a girl that just, very, very kind of a minor player last year, and now all of a sudden, those two girls, in addition to Bryn Lewis, who has also had her moments, my goodness, they're much tougher than anybody thought, and a strong possibility as a 2A state champion this year.
Yeah, I think so too. How do you assess the importance or value of a setter?
Oh, well, volleyball is such a team game because everybody says it has to start with the pass. And if the setter is scrambling around every which direction, every point, it's going to be tough for her to set her teammates up. But, a setter that can utilize multiple weapons effectively, a setter that can go with that high outside ball and then the quick middle ball. And there's even, you've got some of those quick line drive middles that you'll see from time to time as well. And then, of course, there's the second touch tips and kills and things like that. So a setter that can do those full range of things really keeps a defense wondering what's she going to do next, and that's very valuable.
And a follow-up question on that then is, what type of criteria would you use in considering a setter for Player of the Year?
Yeah, you almost have to see them. Yeah, it's very difficult to just judge by the stats and see, well, this girl's averaging 10 assists, this girl's averaging 7. And there's also different offensive sets. Some run a 2-setter set. Now, Heritage Academy is a great example where when one of them's not setting, the other one's hitting. They're two girls, Chloe Prajian and Michaela Hoy. They alternate between setting and hitting, and they fuel that team. So it's almost one of those things where you have to see them, and you have to see the impact that they have on their team before you can really make that evaluation. But yeah, a setter that can, again, do all those things well, and serving comes into play too, obviously. If a setter can go back there and be a threat at the service line in addition to all those other things we've mentioned, if they're the one that's fueling the team, and I think Samantha Wright's a good example. I don't know that Tana McKenzie at North is going to be in this discussion, but she's a very, very good setter as well. Then obviously they get looked at.
When head coaches Rachel Brashear and Emily Crabtree eventually win that 6th state tournament title,
right,
which could be sooner than later,
sure,
and they tie Cindy Neugebauer, who currently is the county leader in state championships, do we need to put an asterisk beside that because it would be the non-club era where Neugebauer won all of hers versus the club volleyball era, which is taking place now?
Not a fan of the asterisk. Let's just applaud all of these women for the tremendous jobs that they've done. Obviously, Neugebauer was the one that set Williamsport's program up, in addition to obviously the strong Springfield middle program that has helped establish that as well. But it's not like Emily Crabtree and Rachel Brashear haven't had their own challenges, have had some down years as well. When Rachel came in as head coach, she had to rebuild that Smithsburg program up. The bottom line is all three coaches have done just an amazing job, as has, goodness, you can pick almost any county coach and get a story like that. Obviously, they're the headliners because of the state titles. But you know what? Let's forget about asterisks and ranking. Let's just applaud them all because they're all phenomenal coaches.
Okay, all right. That's fine. That's fine. Again, just throwing the questions out. And one final one for you. How would Heritage Academy, who's had a very good season so far, and they've got a great heritage, I guess there's a pun intended there in some way, but how would they fare, say, playing like Boonesboro or Clear Spring's schedule?
They playing the schedule. The first thing you got to say is they've played both of those teams this year. They got swept by Boonesboro earlier in the year, came back and beat Clear Spring in 5 this season. They lost to Clear Spring in 5 last season. So they've played those kind of, not the first tier public school teams, but those second tier teams they have some experience with. I don't know that they have enough weaponry, enough depth to really challenge North and Smithsburg and Williamsport on a day-to-day basis. But certainly, if they play well on the right day against some of those other teams, the Boonesboro, the Clear Spring, the South Hagerstown, And you know, maybe they could even throw a scare into the big teams. I mean, they're underdogs, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But they're a quality team, and you can't look past them, as Clearspring can clearly tell you.
Right. Well, that's the lightning round of volleyball questions with Dan Kaufman. Dan, take a deep breath.
Thank you very much. I think I'll do that.
And thanks to all of you for watching this week. Can't wait to see you back next week. Until then, we'll see you on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.